5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go get them, gentlemen. Master Man 50, 60 plus part of the Masters National Series.
No dicking around.
And with no time wasted, we are underway in Stage 3 of the 2022 Gateway Cup. This is the Giro Della Montagna in the Hill neighborhood. I'm Garrick Mitchell with Stemsiders Racing, and the start of both forward-facing rear video, that was the first frame that my camera captured. We rolled up to the line, and no sooner did we get there than Dave Toll starts counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Apparently we were running behind schedule. I didn't realize that, so lesson to everybody. Double check the day's race schedule. I thought it was the same start time as the day before, but the scheduled start was actually 15 minutes earlier, so the race organization was in a lot more of a hurry to start than I was. But it's all good. Got both cameras going. Had not too bad of a stage, but we are underway. So once again, we're starting under ominous skies. It sprinkled on us a bit on day one. Day two, it was full wet race. And today, we're kind of watching the clouds. The forecast was for rain to start during our race. We'll see how that pans out. But right now, I'm happy the roads are not wet. You'll notice the Italian flag tricolore painted crosswalks, and the start-finish area is totally painted. Well, they didn't put any grit in that paint, and when it gets wet, it gets slippery. But so far, so good. So I'll point out that in the data overlay at the bottom left corner, we don't have current last and best lap times. There was a glitch in the data. It wasn't picking up laps, but we'll do without that today. But we do have the GPS track. So at the conclusion of lap 1, let's do a run through the course. Obviously, we've got a long, skinny rectangle oriented north-south, and the ends of the course are relatively high points. The south end is a lot higher, but we're on a little bit of a climb now, heading towards turn 1. So once through 1, we got a rather bumpy short straightaway. Once again, the dark asphalt patches are actually the roughest parts, so you don't want to hit the dark stuff. And then once we turn left through turn 2, there's a very slight rise. And then a descent coming into the main hill on the course, and nice power climb coming up. Definitely tested how your intervals were going during the year. So now we're into the climb. You'll see me trying to make up some places on the outside, but this was it was a leg buster by the end of the day. You know, if you're chasing or trying to close a gap coming up the hill, you don't really have time to rest at the top. We got the short straightaway here. It's a little damp under the trees, but then you turn onto the main straightaway and it's downhill again. So you're chasing. Once you're chasing, you're always chasing. So positioning is always important, but even more so on this course. And so then, yeah, around the last corner, and you can kind of see ahead downhill coming into the start finish. there's 2 laps down. So 2.1 miles over 2 laps, so the course is just over a mile long. I thought later it would have been nice if they could have put another block off to one side, make it an L shape, throw some more corners in there. But I'll tell you what, though, the atmosphere in this neighborhood was fantastic. And I mean, we're fairly early in the day. We started at I think 12:15 p.m. The pro women and pro men didn't go until much later in the afternoon, and the crowds built a lot more, obviously, for them. But even so, good atmosphere, a lot of community support, which is just fantastic. Makes it a real fun racing experience. I got balked a little bit or hit something coming into that last corner. You can already see the gap starting to form. We're stringing out, going down the hill into the climb. And again, more often than not, my goal was to try and move up some on the climb. Again, I was favoring an outside line here just to avoid getting pinched on the inside of the corner. But in the end, it's a fluid situation. So here we go into the climb proper. And it gets a little bit steeper as you go along, so you really gotta grit your teeth on this one. All right, I'm going to limit commentary for now. I'll be back in about 3 more laps. as always in a crit, you've got to be looking up ahead, making sure that the gaps aren't forming. So the rider with the amazing dreadlocks let a bit of a gap open. Sometimes you can use that to good effect. If you got a teammate up ahead, you can kind of generate a split, maybe even facilitate a breakaway getting away. At a minimum, the folks behind you are going to have to jump around you, close that gap. So the sooner you can see that gap opening, the easier it is to close it. But it has certainly happened where gaps just magically form, and that can be the springboard to a breakaway. But as you can see, I'm doing a better job now of staying near the front, you know, trying to stay out of the main churn of the field, and also limiting the chasing that I have to do. So another nice thing about being near the front is you can actually see and respond to changes in the pace. The best time to attack is when the field slows down, but if you're at the back still trying to chase on, that doesn't really work. So here we have the leaders sit up. I'm known as a bit of an animator back home. Well, maybe not in Colorado, but in Houston I was always animating races, so I'm going for it. Why not? Let's see what happens, see who comes along with me. Well, I've got a pretty good gap here, going down the hill towards the finish line. And then lo and behold, when I get to the start-finish, what do I hear? Okay, so they just rang the preem bell. This is kind of a good news, bad news situation. The good news is I am off the front of the group, and now I've got a chance to win $50. The bad news is the field is going to hear that same bell, and they're going to want that $50 too. So this is either supremely good timing or awful timing. We're going to see. But as soon as I heard that bell, what had been just kind of maintaining a tempo and see if I could get a gap turns into I've got to drill it now and really eke out as much of a gap as I can. Probably I'm gonna recover a bit coming into the hill, but then on the hill itself, it's going to be really, for me, essentially a last lap effort to try and maintain my gap up the hill and then hold on the downhill final stretch. So I'm glad my rear camera was working. We can kind of monitor what the field is doing. But let's see. Let me blow this up a bit. You're gonna see, I'm looking at a low-res preview, but you're gonna see that they're strung out chasing after me. So I am taking occasional glances back just to kind of gauge my effort, but as I'm coming into the meat of the hill here, I know that the field's chasing, and there is very much dread in my soul at this point. I don't want this to be all for nothing, but the gap is still there. I think when I round this corner, it's down to about 3 seconds. But at this point, I'm at the top of the hill. So I've got gravity working for me, but again, so does the field. So I am in desperate straits right now. You can hear me breathing like a freight train. And around the corner, and I think they've moved the finish line further down from previous years. Not that I would know, because this is my first time here, but it is a long way to the finish line, and there are guys trying to bridge up to me right now. I want that $50, and I know that they do too. So I am just hanging on. You're going to see me get up out of the saddle and rock it a little bit in just a minute here. And that right there is one of the highlights of my weekend. I won a preem at a national level race. I'm psyched. And it's hilarious because this rider's going to come up.
Negative.
The first rider comes up and says, "Let's go." And it's like, nope, that was everything I had to hang on for that preem. He's going to try and extend that into a breakaway. And certainly I've done that. I've actually won after having launched my own break. But no, I'm done.
Doing this race stuff.
So now, really, all I want is to hang on to the back of the group as it passes. The sooner I can join in, the better off I am. But yeah, I'm hoping for a gentle entry into the draft here. You know, those guys could go up the road. I don't really care at this point. I got my 50 bucks. I cannot explain my stoke at this point. I don't want to get dropped, but I don't know. It's a big deal for me. And as you can see from my heart rate graph, that's the upper line on the line graph there. I made it up the hill. I've inserted myself into the peloton, and I'm actually going to be able to recover over the next couple laps. So I'm thrilled. I won the Preem and didn't burn my last match to do it. But from here on, I'm gonna rest a bit, take stock. Won't have a lot of commentary until the end. We'll see if anything comes out. So really, at this point, I'm starting to think like a tail gunner again, and you know, the race is well underway. We're getting in a rhythm, so you know, I'm not going to be right on that wheel going into a corner. Instead, I'm going to leave a little gap and be able to roll up on that and stay into the outside. That works pretty well too. But one other pointer for the newer racers who are watching. You know, we are not totally lined out like the faster cats, like say the category 2-3s or certainly the pros. So those guys will be in a single file line going absolutely full gas for most of the race. But even for us, I mean, we're a few riders wide, but it's a safe group. And well, why is that? Well, there's not a whole lot of side to side motion. Okay, if you're in the peloton and you know there are riders around you, you keep track of those riders. You kind of imagine yourself as being in a lane. I'm saying, come on. I guess the rider in front of me was slowing down a bit more than I wanted, so I had to get on the brakes. But you know, if you're already on the inside of the group coming into a corner, you stay on the inside. But if you've left an inside lane open, you leave that lane there through the corner. You don't deviate, you don't pinch into the inside of the corner unless you know it's clear, unless you know there's a rider, rather there's not a rider coming in on your inside. So, you know, think in terms of, I mean, obviously you're maintaining your position relative to the riders ahead of you, but think of it as, you know, you're in a lane, and if you've left room coming into the corner, you want to leave that room going through the corner. So, like this next left turn here, I'm saying hey ho because riders are slowing down, but I've left a gap on the inside. I've also left a gap on the outside because there are riders to my outside. But you know, we race safely, I think, because that's a big part of the philosophy. Now, if it's strung out, you know, absolutely maximum effort, single file line, then yeah, you do see the side-to-side motion because you're trying to adjust your position to stay in the draft of the rider in front of you, for example, or maybe you're trying to pass somebody, but you're not going to do it until you know the way is clear, and that's just a quick glance under your shoulder. You know, you can hear other riders. I joke that I've got the loudest freewheel in the universe, but hey, if I coast briefly, it makes noise, and other riders know I'm there, so they're going to allow me room as well. So anyway, that's my 2 cents, but it's why you're not going to see a whole lot of crashes in this field. This is a really seasoned group, and it's frankly a pleasure riding with them. Adding on to the thought of being safe in the peloton and maneuvering appropriately, sometimes you find yourself overlapping a wheel a little bit. Ideally, you don't want to do that. You want to drop back and make sure that you're not overlapping side to side. So if that rider comes over, you know, he's not going to clip your wheel. Sometimes you start a pass and then don't quite finish it. If I'm coming into a corner and I'm in that situation where I'm not quite up alongside a rider, I'll just let them know I'm there. My habit, and I'll probably get criticized for it, is I'll just say a little hup hup or yup yup, because it's an easy noise to make, and it just lets that rider know I'm there. So if I'm not sure that rider, I just did it again, if I'm not sure that rider knows I'm there, and I want to be absolutely sure he's going to leave me room, for instance, in that case, the orange rider was to the outside of me, and if he moved in, I was going to get pinched into the rider in the yellow jersey. I don't know. It gives me a bit more comfort level that, okay, the guy knows I'm there. So it's a habit, and I might get called a Fred for it, but it works for me. So here we go down the hill again, and thankfully we're managing the gaps. Yep, we're definitely all going faster downhill, just trying to limit the gaps to the leaders. But I'm not in the red. You can see my heart rate graph isn't too bad. Really, I'm not going to do much of anything the rest of this race. I'm still basking in the afterglow of winning a preem at Gateway. I'm such a loser. I'm sorry, but it's a big deal. I'm not going to duke it out in the field sprint, but hey, I won a lap prize. That's pretty damn cool in my book. So yeah, sit in, tail gun, and we'll check in towards the end of the race. anticipated the rider in red ahead of me into the inside was going to want to move up into the gap I was leaving open. So when I was saying go, 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 I was basically giving him the green light to move ahead. But when he wasn't going to do it, it's like, well, heck, I want that spot. So I moved up, but then I was starting to insert myself next to the next rider up ahead. So I just gave a little outside, so he knew that there was someone moving up. But yeah, that's kind of funny. I was kind of letting my mind wander tail gunning, and it's like, I could move up a bit. It wouldn't be a bad thing. But otherwise, I'm going to try to get back in that mode of you drop back a little bit. We're having to get on the brakes back here, but they're just not drilling it at the front. Not right now, so we can get by as it is. go, 1 lap to go, ringing the bell, and I'm at the back. So I'm not going to contend this sprint. You know, really, if you want to make a difference in this race, you've got to be at the pointy end of the field. Certainly in the first few, but I am encouraging my fellow riders to roll this corner and stay off the brakes. Yeah, my goal at this point is to stay out of trouble. The only thing I can do back here is get caught up in a crash. So. So what happened there, I don't know. I heard from other riders or looking at their Strava data that apparently it was like the seventh wheel crashed, and obviously that delayed a bunch of folks. So, you know, when that happens, here, pro tip for the newer riders: don't look at the crash. Look at where you want to go. You have to pick out what's going to be the most likely the clear line, and you know, go for that. Be aware that there may also be other riders going for that same spot. Get your elbows out a bit, be ready to bounce off of them. But made it past the crash. Now I'm just sprinting for the minor places. And I'm going to use all the Italian I know right here. Thank you very much. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.